Hey there, true cinema fans. This is the Cinema Maven, the ultimate cinema lover. Welcome back. So, in this video, we are going to go over some of my movie pickups that I've been picking up for the past few weeks. And I gotta say, I'm very, very happy with everything that I found at some of these thrift shops I've gone to, including this local store that sells everything from movies and records and comics, all kinds of good stuff. So, you know, I really like everything that I found. It's very, very cool stuff. So I've gotten a few DVDs, but mainly VHS tapes, and I'm going to share them with you guys. So let's get to it. We're going to start off with the DVDs. Now, I only have two things here. It was the only thing I saw at one of these thrift shops that I went to. I've been wanting to get this series on DVD for a while. Hopefully I can find it on Blu-ray at some point too. But this is one of my favorite shows from the 70s. I'm a very old school guy. I like a lot of things from television and movies from the 30s, heck, all the way through the 80s. And so much good stuff is out there. And this is one of my favorite shows of the 70s. And that is the second and third season of the Partridge Family. So what this show is about, it's about a divorced mother with her older son Keith and older daughter Lori and youngest kids. They're all a band together and they tour the States. They're a very popular group. So they tour the States playing their music, and where the comedy ensues is the craziness that they go through as they travel the States playing their music. They get into a lot of crazy situations, and you know, it's just really funny stuff. And the little brothers are like the bass player and the drummer, and the littlest sister is the tambourine player, and it's just really funny stuff. And really catchy music too for the 60s. I'm a big fan of old school music as well, aside from movies. You know, I'm a big fan of 60s music, and the music in this is very catchy and fun. And, you know, it's just a really great show, and I highly recommend it for anyone. Now let's move on to VHS. Yeah! This is another one of my favorite old school series from back in the day, and that is the Twilight Zone. I found this at a thrift shop for $5, and I had to pick it up. I've been wanting to pick up more of the Twilight Zone series, whether it's on VHS, DVD, Blu-ray, whatever. I've been wanting to pick it up, and I will share with you. It comes with 3 tapes, and I will share with you some of the episodes I've gotten, and that is Living Doll and The Eye of the Beholder. So, yeah, I kind of got some light glare on there, but yeah, those are the episodes that I got on one of the tapes. The other tape I got has another one of my favorite episodes called The After Hours. Have you guys seen a movie from the late 70s called Tourist Trap? If you haven't, I highly recommend it. If you like scary dummies and mannequins, watch that movie. It's hilarious. It's really, really fun to watch. The After Hours is actually one of the references in Tourist Trap, so it's a really, really good episode. I'm not going to spoil everything that happens, but it's definitely a good one. So it has that episode, and Time Enough at Last. Will the real Martian please stand up? Will the real Martian please stand up? I never liked Eminem, but anyways, To Serve Man. So all great episodes, and episodes that I've always loved. Excellent stuff. Next box set that I got, I know all of you are going to agree, is a great find, and $10 for this box set is so worth it. And that is the Back to the Future series. Yeah! You can't go wrong. So it's got all 3, including the Secrets of the Back to the Future trilogy. So there's a behind-the-scenes tape on there, and I really like that a lot. I've always been a big fan of behind-the-scenes stuff and, you know, things of that sort. And this was just such an excellent find. I had to get it. So if you're into vintage monster movies and things like that, cheesy monster movies that are so bad that they're good, this is one of them. Now this was it's called Plan 9 from Outer Space. Now this was directed by Ed Wood, and he's known as one of the best, worst directors in cinematic history. And he made this movie, the movie he's mainly known for. He did a lot of movies in Hollywood, but none of them did good. They were all terrible. But this was the one that put him on the map. Hollywood, gave him plenty of chances, but it just did not work out. But since he's passed on, I mean, he's gotten a huge cult following. And this is one of those movies, you become so aware of everything. It doesn't try being self-aware whatsoever. He clearly took all of this very seriously, what he was doing, but everything is so aware. You could see the flying saucers on the freaking strings and everything like that. And just the cheap sets made of cardboard and things like that. Everything is so obvious when it comes to some of the interior of the spaceships. I mean, he's trying to go for like a metal type look, like in most spaceships, but you could just tell like it's curtains, and it's really bad, but it's entertaining so much. This is that movie. And there was actually a movie that Tim Burton directed about the director Ed Wood. It was a very good movie. It's one of my favorites, actually. It's pretty funny. Next up, this is another one of my just major favorites of all time. I'm a big fan of horror movie spoofs, and this is one of them. If you're a fan of Gene Wilder and Mel Brooks, for those of you that don't know, Gene Wilder was actually Willy Wonka and Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. So, when I mention that, I know you're going to be familiar. But this is another movie he was known for, and that is spoof of Frankenstein. It's called Young Frankenstein. And this movie, it's so freaking hilarious. I mean, they really nail every single thing that the original Frankenstein was, but they make it super goof, just totally make fun of it. There's a lot of slapstick, a lot of physical comedy in it. I can't ruin everything that happens, but it's just, everything about it is just funny. I highly recommend it. Now, when I saw these in the thrift store, I was like, why would anybody get rid of any movie that has these guys? They were the ultimate comedy duo, just ever. They were hilarious, and they still make me bust up laughing to this day, and that is Abbott and Costello. So, really hilarious guys. I mean, but Abbott and Lou Costello, I mean, you can't go wrong. One of them I picked up is Buck Privates. You haven't seen Buck Privates, I'm not going to go into details about what it's about, but it's really, really funny. I highly recommend that. Another one is Times of Their Lives, Abbott and Costello, and Who Done It. These are the ones that Abbott and Costello are mainly known for still to this day, and it still continues to gain generations of fans, and that is Abbott and Costello meets Frankenstein, and Abbott and Costello meets The Mummy. Both fantastic and hilarious. Again, horror movie spoofs, and I think maybe Brooks, who directed Young Frankenstein, might have been influenced by these movies, because from what I remember, that came out in the 60s, so I think it was, and these were before that, so I think that it was very influenced by that. Now, this one I picked up is actually a joke. Now, this one was completely a joke when I picked it up. I'm actually a huge fan of musicals. I always have loved them. I've always loved them, but this is one of the musicals that I've never really liked, and that is Annie. Do I really need to make clear why this musical sucks? I don't know. Just never liked Annie, never liked any of the songs, but most of the other musicals out there, I love. They're excellent. So, but yes, it's definitely one of the movies that I own that's a joke. Now we're gonna get into some family comedies I picked up. One of them, this is one of them that I definitely grew up on in the 90s, and I remember going to see it in theaters when I was a kid. The first two movies are great. The sequels after that went downhill, wasn't into them, and I don't recommend them. But that movie is Beethoven. Definitely one of my favorite movies about dogs. It's really, really funny. There's been a lot of family comedies about dogs, but this was the ultimate. This was one of the funniest dog movies I've ever seen. Still makes me laugh today, and I love Charles Grodin in this. He's very hilarious. So, but yes, this one and Beethoven second, I highly recommend. Now, for those of you that maybe grew up in the 90s like I did, you're probably gonna laugh at this one. A lot of people make fun of this one, but I say give this movie a chance, because it really is a sweet movie, and I think it's pretty funny actually too. So, Andre. Now, If you guys don't recognize who this girl is on the cover, this is actually the girl that played Deb in Napoleon Dynamite, Tina Majorino, and she was also in Waterworld and movies like that. It's a great movie about a seal that they find out in the wild that's hurt, just becomes a part of the family, and really funny and sweet movie. I like it a lot. This was a really great animated family movie produced by Universal back in the day, in the 90s. It was one of my favorites growing up as a kid. Actually, Spielberg was involved with this too. He didn't direct it, but he's one of the producers. And that movie is We're Back. Now, if you're a fan of dinosaur movies, cartoon dinosaur movies, like Land Before Time and movies like that, you will definitely like this one. If you're a fan of old films about dogs, like Old Yeller and stuff like that, you might like this movie. It doesn't top Old Yeller, but it's definitely a good one. That movie is Shiloh. I don't remember exactly, it's been such a long time since I've seen this, but from what I remember growing up as a kid when this movie came out, a lot of kids in school liked it. I checked it out, and when I watched it, it seemed like it was one of those made-for-TV movies that Warner Brothers made. I don't know, I could be wrong, I'd have to look that up again, but I wasn't blown away by this movie, I'm still not, but there's just something about it that just keeps me watching every single time. I don't know, maybe it's just the whole thing about, going against animal abuse and, things like that. I really love the concept of that, and I'm an animal guy, so I think that's probably the reason why I really like this movie, so highly recommend that. It Conquers the World. Now, I've always heard about this movie. I actually have not seen this movie at all, and I'm really looking forward to checking it out. I got this from a thrift shop, and one of the things that caught my eye was just the artwork. It looks definitely like a good old monster movie that I would want to check out. So next up, now you can't go wrong with the Christopher Lee Hammer Dracula films. These were fantastic. Now don't get me wrong, okay? Bela Lugosi is in fact the original and best Dracula, okay? Absolutely. But if you guys want to see gutsy kind of vampire movies or Dracula movies, you gotta check out the ones with Christopher Lee, and that is Taste the Blood, Dracula. You can't go wrong. That's definitely one of my favorites, so I was happy to find that. Great find. This is another one of my favorite sci-fi films from the 50s. I really like the one that Spielberg made. I like his remake of it. It was very good. I still enjoy it. But the original is what it's all about, and that is the original War of the Worlds. I had to pick this up. You know how they always say, you just can't top the original? Well, that is very much true. Now, Spielberg is actually my favorite director of all time. Huge influence on me. And I will always enjoy his remake of War of the Worlds. It's fantastic. But it just, I don't know. It just doesn't have the charm as much as the original does. So I highly recommend you check this out. It's so good. I really love this movie. Oh my gosh, this was such a fantastic find. Sure, I could have just gotten this online, but it's all about the thrill of the hunt for me when it comes to collecting this stuff. The original Blob. You can't go wrong with these 50s classics. I freaking love these movies, and I love this movie. Now, the remake from the late 80s is very good. I still enjoy it to this day. But the 50s one, the original, just holds a place more in my heart than that one. From the late 80s is more action-packed, which is cool, but not enough suspense, and some of the acting is just a little bit just non-convincing, including the screaming and everything. It's just, this one is what it's all about, so check out the original Blob. And last but not least, some of you may not be into this choice, but believe it or not, I'm actually a born-again Christian, so I was happy to find this on VHS, and that is The Passion of the Christ. Okay, so that's it for the movies I've been picking up lately. Hope you guys have enjoyed this video. This has been the Cinema Maven. Keep getting your cinema on.